Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Two Dicks Exposed. I am your host, not Mike, and we are once again joined by our fellow on the couch, Orange Joe. Say hello, Orange Joe.
Hello, Orange Joe.
Hey, I see what you did there. So, Orange Joe being on the couch can only mean one thing.
I lost my chair.
He lost his chair.
I lost my chair.
But since we're wearing Pokemon shirts, let's go ahead and talk about Pokemon.
Yes, and specifically, we're going to talk about one of the most successful marketing campaigns to ever take place in the U.S.
Oh, yes.
What could it be? The Pokemon anime is what it is.
What?
What?
Please explain.
So, definitely not from a Wikipedia article.
Definitely not from the last episode we filmed.
Ooh. The anime for Pokemon actually aired, about 20 days before the game came out, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Somewhere between earlier in the year.
Yeah, we're gonna reference ourselves in our citing details. But as you had specified last time, Pokemon the anime was specifically created because, marketing needed to be done. They were worried about sales of the game, so they were saying, hey, why not? Let's make a show for children, get them amped up, make their parents hate it, and then sales went through the roof.
Yeah. So something else fun though is they specifically did not want the anime like following the game. So for instance, like, you play as Red, the trainer Red in Pokemon Red and the trainer Green in Pokemon Green. Well, they gave Ash his name because they didn't want him to be Red. Like they didn't want him to be the Pokemon master. They just wanted him to go along. Same with why he gets a Pikachu instead of, the Charmander, Bulbasaur, or Squirtle.
And you were saying, like, we were talking off camera, there was actually a chance Pikachu was not going to be the main Pokemon?
Yeah, so I was reading this. Originally, the mascot Pokemon was either going to be a Poliwhirl or a Clefairy, because that was actually the creator of Pokemon's favorite Pokemon. But then that was nixed, and I guess Pikachu kind of fell into the role.
Yeah.
But knowing that fact, it's kind of weird because I do think, like, I remember looking at like early Pokemon card packs and seeing like a Poliwhirl like hanging out in the Pocket Monster like insignia in the top. So it's kind of cool that like they did that marketing and then realized like, nope, it's got to be Pikachu. So
it's kind of funny too, because a lot of people have the debate online, like, who was the first Pokemon? But I think like the first officially designed, it was referred to as Pocket Monsters, was either Rhydon or Rhyhorn. Was like the first one created.
Rhydon was the first
it was,
Pokemon.
Satoshi Tajiri and Ken Sugimori. They had designed that first, and they kind of went in everything else.
So that's why like the fighting or the ongoing fight is what was the first Pokemon? Was it Rhydon, Bulbasaur, or Mew?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Mew is supposed to be like the Pokemon that all Pokemon
The
came
ancestor of everything.
Yeah,
But
and I think I've told you this story before, but like I heard this rumor online where it was like Ditto is what was it? Originally, like, Mew was the Pokemon, but it knew Transform and it also knew Metronome.
Yep.
And it was able to transform into different creatures that it liked, becoming like all of the other Pokemon.
Yeah.
But it also knew like every moveset, and eventually it just got to the point where like the Pokemon forgot they were Mews, and now they're just, Growliths or Pikachus or something like that.
Yep.
And then Ditto is just like a really like confused Mew. He's just like, I don't know what I want to be, so I'm gonna be everyone.
Yeah,
I think that's also really slutty.
Yeah, but you know what? You got to make money somehow.
You got to make money somehow.
Yep.
I think not in this game.
Not in this game.
Not in this game. Ditto is pretty pure in red and blue.
Yes. No breeding yet.
No breeding yet.
No breeding
but we're
yet.
talking about the anime.
We are talking about the anime.
So the anime was dope, and as we mentioned in the last episode, and as you were jumping into this morning, or earlier in this episode, the anime was released prior to the games here in America because it wanted to promote the games, which it did phenomenally. Like, the Pokemon is still like one of the top sold games in America, but the anime was amazing, and it's nothing like the anime that's out now. Like the Kanto League versus whatever Journeys or whatever, just Ash's 25-year adventure, how it ended, those animes are not the same Ash. Not the same Ash, not the same Misty, not the same Brock. I don't even know if they're in the later episodes.
They do come back,
Brock,
but it's more of a cameo thing.
Yeah. But I mean, like, Ash is a sarcastic little asshole.
Yeah.
Misty is just spicy.
Pikachu is a little shit, and
Pikachu is a huge shit, and I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Like, he's like drowning other Pokemon, like Meowth. He's like constantly wants to kill. He's just a sassy little rat.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just great. I have so many fond memories, and I hope we can get to touch on all of them. This hopefully won't be a two-parter, but if it is, I no problem with that. But we're following the story of Ash Ketchum, which by far the best like American localized pun name I think I've ever heard in my entire life. On top of that, I don't think there's a single person that hears the Pokemon theme song that doesn't like get thrown back into a nostalgia loop and like hasn't stuck in their head for the rest of the day.
So another fun thing, the Pokemon theme song is four kids special, because one of the things four kids like to do is they like to, whatever the anime was, they came over and they just butchered the theme song and changed it to try and make it like more appealing to American audiences. So that's why we have like the, I wanna be the very best. Like that's what four kids came up with. They were like, we want this. The original Japanese one is not like that. It doesn't even have like the same like animations or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, it's the story of Ash Ketchum, like you were saying. How he meets Misty, who's just like fishing for a Goldeen right outside Pallet Town when he's carrying Pikachu around in rubber gloves because he can't control him, and he steals her bike, and then that's a 25-year friendship right there.
If you play the Pokemon games, it's like $100,000,
right? Yeah, $100,000, and Pikachu just fries it like that. Then you meet Brock, who, if you played the games, he's the Pewter City gym leader. But in this, he's like an 18-year-old kid who has like 12 younger siblings that he has to take care of. Yeah, a deadbeat dad, a mom who just rolled out on him, like pretty heavy shit. And like Brock actually calls his dad out in this episode, and I haven't seen it yet, but I did see a clip where he calls his mom out in a later episode. I guess they come back to like revisit Pewter City or something like that. And the mom has come home to live with the dad, who ends up taking care of the kids. And the mom's like, "Oh, Brock, how come you never reach out to me anymore?" And he's like, "Well, you abandoned me, never called me, never tried to reach out to me. As far as I'm concerned, you're not my mother." And she's just like, "Oh, sorry." Yeah. And it's like, all right. I'm sure they reconciled by the end of the episode, but
yeah, like getting into that, like the first 15 episodes of Pokemon, I feel like are just, ingrained in my head. So, starting off, like you said, we're following Ash Ketchum. And I think the biggest thing that like shocked fans as they were playing the games is, why can't I start with like Pikachu? He wakes up late. He's 10 years old. Right. You're a kid. That's, of course, in Japan, they're like, oh, kids can be full adults at 10, so they can do whatever they want to. But you set on the world of being a Pokemon master. You get your starter, and then that's life.
Yeah, so that is something weird I've learned in anime.
Yeah.
For some reason, if you're like a 12-year-old kid, you just live at home alone because both of your parents have gone abroad.
Like, there's a Netflix show of like, children just in Japan that just go out. They're like, here, go on a grocery run. And they just go out, like they get on the transit, they pay with everything, they come back, and like everything's cool. I don't think I could imagine that happening.
Hey, that's a really wholesome show, okay? That's
I'm not saying it's not wholesome. I'm saying like...
It's like a little 5-year-old who's being challenged.
That could not happen here.
To do something pretty incredible. Over here, we're like babying our children.
Truth.
Listen, if we put like a 10-year-old kid on the metro, they're not coming back.
My child didn't touch his first flamethrower until he was 22.
See?
Yeah.
And look at him now. We live in a society that loves the Pokemon anime.
Yeah, we do.
So, back to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got Misty, who's sassy. You got Brock, who's a major horn dog. Like, hitting on anything with two legs.
Yeah.
You got Joy and Jenny. So Joy is, Joy is still Joy. She's
still Joy.
Nice, sweet. Jenny, I think she tried to arrest Ash the first time she met him. Yeah, because Ash rolls into town. You haven't met Team Rocket yet.
Yep.
And he has like Pikachu beaten and bloodied from, fighting 10,000 Spearows. And she's like, only an evil guy would let, their Pokemon get damaged this badly. Like, obviously you're Team Rocket. And he's like, no, I'm not. And then they blow up the Pokemon Center. Yeah.
I still remember like the first episode with Team Rocket. They're like actually competent. Like they foiled the day they almost stole Pikachu, and now they're like the most consistent running gag in like any TV history.
I still love, though, it might have been in the movie or just in like the later of the seasons when they go back and they're talking to Giovanni and he's like, what have you even done for this company? And they're like, oh, we're going to get you a Pikachu. He's like, why do I want a Pikachu? He's like, do you see what's behind me? Like, I have Mewtwo.
Yes.
Like, why do I want a Pikachu? And they're just like, well, he's strong. It's like, get out of my face. Yeah. Just get out of my face.
There's like that government employee that's been there for years. They're on the payroll. They don't even know why. Yeah. And then what is it, like their counterparts, Butch and Cassidy, that come in, which, once again, great names from the Pokemon company.
This is back when like anime could get away with stuff like
Yeah.
that before everything was just like a lawsuit or something. What were their Pokemon? They had a Persian, right?
They had a Persian. It was essentially, like the better version of Jesse and James.
Right.
Like they didn't have an Arbok and a Weezing, but it was definitely like more powerful Pokemon.
Yeah.
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 Cough, cough.
And you know what? Something else we can't skip over?
Yeah.
Ho-Oh was in episode 1.
Yeah.
Which makes you think like how far ahead did they plan? Or was like Ho-Oh was he just a scrapped idea for the game? Like was he supposed to be one of the original 151 or
They had started, and I'm probably getting called out for this. From my memory, they had pretty much started on like Gold and Silver pretty much directly after Red and Blue. Like they were getting in it because they're like, we had the resources. The Game Boy Color just came out. We need to make another game before the Game Boy Advance comes out, how much they knew in the future. But like they were already, if not like halfway done Pokemon Gold and Silver. So by the time the anime premiered, they're like, let's put this in. Okay. If the anime doesn't go any further, then it's an Easter egg. If it is, then, here's continuity going through everything.
Okay. Because I definitely remember like fighting people when I was a kid and seeing that and them being like, no, we don't know what Pokemon that is. And I'm like, it's Moltres. It's obviously Moltres. Yep. And they're like, it doesn't look anything like Moltres. And I'm like, well, all you've seen is a sprite in the Game Boy. Like, how do you know that's not what Moltres looks like?
Well, another fight, like I remember that scene, like remember when Ash is talking to Professor Oak, like he's beating him down, she's like, oh yeah, and I saw a legendary Pokemon, and Professor Oak's like, is it one of these four? And it's like the three birds and
Arcanine is up there.
Arcanine's a legendary Pokemon. Oh my god.
I think in Arcanine's original Pokedex entry, it actually says like a legendary Pokemon. I know it does on his Pokemon card.
Yeah.
It declares him as a legendary Pokemon. So I'm about that life, It's kind of cool how the whole police force is just tamed to legendary.
Yeah, they just got
Pokemon,
legendaries.
But it's whatever. Good for them.
But like it was so cool. Like the earlier episodes of Pokemon, it was like it felt less of like just a different episode every week, like a different storyline. Like it was fun. Like one of the earlier episodes is just an entire battle of Ash's Metapod fighting another Metapod, having like a hardened battle for the entire episode. And then my like earliest fondest memory is 2 episodes. It's the episode where Butterfree evolved, and then the episode where Butterfree left. Bye bye Butterfree.
Yeah. You can't forget the other heart-wrenching episode where Ash gets his Charmander.
Yeah.
And we watched this like a couple weekends ago. If you follow our TikTok, we were in North Carolina binging some Pokemon. But we were watching it, and the guy who owned the Charmander is like the worst accent ever. Like, oi, my name's Clarence, and I don't want my Charmander anymore. I left him in the forest.
So, I think it's the same.
And that's not even being me like racist or anything. That's
remember the Dark Tournament in Hunter x Hunter, or not Hunter x Hunter, Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yes,
I'm pretty sure that's the same character.
The same guy.
Yeah.
The guy comes in and he probably has a really deep voice like this, and they're like, "All right, how are you gonna play this character?" He's like, "I got one for you. Hold on." Oi, blimey! Oh my god! But yeah, that episode killed me. Oh no, the worst episode was the Bye Bye Pikachu episode.
Oh my god!
Where they stumble into the forest and they find like 100 Pikachu, and all the Pikachus are just doing, hanging out, having a good time. Ash's Pikachu runs in there, and then Ash just starts like crying and like walking away down this like long path. And Misty and Brock are like, Ash, where's Pikachu? And he's just like, he's fine. He's gonna do great. Blah blah blah. And then you see Pikachu come up over the ridge, and it's yelling like Pika Pika. And he's like, get out of here! I don't want you. Go and get Pikachu. And
can't you see we don't want you anymore?
We don't want your kind anymore. And then Pikachu is just like, no. Crying, and he runs to him, and they hug, and tears, man. Yeah, tears. Like the Kanto series,
it was feels. It had no business being that good. Like that, like the SSN episode. My God,
SSN episode holds up, dude.
Like as a kid, seeing like a 2-parter episode, you're like, oh my, the story is coming from the old episode.
It's a 2-parter episode. Plus, it's only like episode 11 and 12,
and it's serious shit. These kids are like 14 years old, and they're on the Titanic. They crash and they have to like get out or else they're gonna drown, and it's wild.
And then they leave behind Jesse and James, and they're like floating on debris, and they're like, "Oh, I guess they died. We should hold a funeral." And just like sitting on a raft praying for him.
And then Pikachu, when she figures out they're alive, is like, dang it.
Yeah.
They're alive.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he like tries to kick Meowth back in the water or something like that. Oh my god. And then there was a couple other crazy episodes too. Like the Dragonite episode was dope with the lighthouse.
The lighthouse, yes.
Which I
my
think that was
God.
Bill. I think that was when they met Bill. And he was in the lighthouse, and you had like this Godzilla-sized Dragonite.
Yeah.
Which made it even more impressive when you played the game, and Lance had 3 of them, and you're like, oh my god, he has 3 Godzillas.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Right. Then you realize the average Dragonite's like 7 foot tall, which, to a 12-year-old, that's huge, but not the size of a lighthouse.
I'm getting like so many like nostalgia, like goosebumps again.
Yeah.
But I'm realizing they had a thing for giant Pokemon. So you've got the Dragonite episode.
Yeah, and then the Gengar Alakazam one.
Yeah, well, I was going to say Attack of the Giant Tentacruel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where like James becomes a conduit for Tentacruel to talk through it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was weird.
Was really weird.
That was weird, but you got like a skyscraper-sized Tentacruel like invading like Saffron City or something like that.
Yeah. But no, Attack of the Giant Pokemon with Gengar and
the Alakazam.
Where
they're like the ancient Pokemon. They have like the tribal tattoos on them and everything. That was dope.
And then you got, what was it? It was Jigglypuff that came back and like put them back in like their slumber.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about Jigglypuff.
It was so cool.
That was just like a reoccurring character.
Just running gags. It was great.
I wonder if they ever closed her like storyline.
If I remember, and I'm probably wrong, I'm pretty sure in like the Ruby and Sapphire seasons with like May, Jigglypuff was still like around and she got like a concert and then everything was like cool. Like Jigglypuff got her time.
She got her her storybook ending. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, you know what other perfect episode we cannot forget? The Magmar versus Electabuzz episode. Yes. But Pikachu and his ketchup obsession.
Oh my god.
No, it was Electabuzz and Scyther.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Because I remember then like Scyther cut Pikachu's
like the ketchup
in half.
Yep.
And the ketchup splattered on both of their eyes, and them seeing red like made them go crazy and like attack each other.
It was wild.
Oh my god.
But on top of the favorite episodes, I think there were a lot of episodes we didn't see until we were a little bit older because they got banned in the US.
The banned episodes.
So do we want to dive into those?
We can.
So the first one, epilepsy. Huge problem.
Yes.
Because, these TVs, you had Pikachu using thunder, shocking everyone. But the straw that broke the camel's back is they had an episode with Porygon. And they were stuck inside they pulled a Digimon, went inside, and they're flashing lights out the ass. And I think there were like thousands of reported cases across the U.S. of just kids going to the hospital.
I don't even think that made it to the U.S. I think they had all the issues in Japan and they cut it before.
Okay.
I think that's how it went.
Okay. But I mean, still, like, they were like, how did this happen? Like, oh, well, flashing lights.
And then another banned episode was the Safari Zone episode.
Yep.
Where they tried to sneak into the Safari Zone and got caught. So then they were held at gunpoint.
Yep.
And so they decided to cut that out. I don't think we got the Safari Zone episode at all. Because I remember watching it and being really confused as to why Ash had like 100 Tauros stored with Professor Oak. And you're just like, where did this even come from? But then you watch this episode and you realize Ash is trying to catch... I can't remember what Pokemon he was trying to catch.
Wasn't it a Dratini or like a Kangaskhan?
It was something rare, but every time Ash threw a Pokeball, a Tauros ran in front of it.
I think it was a Dratini because I remember the guy at the Safari Zone was like, "This is my Dratini. Like he was my childhood like dragon, and like he's in the thing."
Okay.
So he was trying to protect like anyone from trying to catch it because he didn't want them to take it.
Okay, checks out.
But then there's another episode. Once again, never made it to the U.S. For some reason, they're having a beauty contest with children wearing bikinis. And if anyone remembers, Gary and his entourage of
cheerleaders.
Yeah, cheerleaders, which is weird because he's 10, he's driving a car with like 18 plus year old women wearing bikinis. Like, it was weird. But there was a scene where James had entered the beauty contest full on chest. Like he got plastic surgery, he's got boobs hanging out there, and it just weirdest thing you've ever seen in your entire life.
It was odd.
Yeah.
I mean, James has always kind of been on that side, though. Like, it's weird whenever they probably are a pushing factor in why, like, our generation is a lot more accepting to, like, open sexuality and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Because like James, he always cross-dressed and played the woman, and Jesse always played the man whenever they were dressing up in their costumes. And so like us as kids watching that, we're just like, this is funny. Like we see absolutely nothing wrong with this. And I guess our parents just didn't watch it with us. I don't know. But like us growing up with that, I think has definitely contributed to us just being like not seeing, you know, cross-dressing and all that stuff as like a horrifying future, you know, because we're just like,
how can it be wrong?
People
Jesse
being what
did
they
it,
want
it's
to,
fine.
right?
Which, while we're talking about Jesse and James, the fact that Seto Kaiba is the voice actor for James is
The best
thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's both ends of just amazing.
I would also like to throw it out there that James is the best Pokemon trainer in the entire series.
Yeah.
Like, show me one other trainer that cares for his Pokemon as much as James does.
Yeah.
You can't. You seriously cannot. Like, James physically believes in all of his Pokemon. And, like, I don't know. They all love him back.
The episode where he lost Victory Bell and Jessie lost her Arbok, tears. So that, like, I cried more during like the Pokemon episodes than I have during like the saddest movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh my god, that just reminded me of the episode where it's Victory Bell versus Victory Bell, and they're just like, and they're just screaming at each other. Oh my god,
the voice actors for Pokemon just doing the voices, incredible.
Oh, it's amazing. But I mean, if we're talking about crying, we also have to mention Pokemon the first movie.
Oh my god,
because I mean it's the Ash scene, which if you did not tear up in the theaters, you're not human. I'm just sorry. That's just what it is. But I also have been seeing this thing circulate online earlier.
Okay.
Which also kind of makes me tear up. So, and this is just things I'm seeing flying around on TikTok and all that stuff. But apparently there is a deleted segment of Pokemon the first movie, which explains more the backstory of the scientist. So the scientist was actually approached by Giovanni to, you know, make the strongest Pokemon. Like that's how it all started. The scientist had ulterior motives because he wanted to use his technology to bring back his daughter who had passed away. No. So in this deleted scene, you see like you know how Mewtwo is able to bring forth his like shadow Pokemon or whatever, and he has like a Charizard, a Blastoise, all that. So you see him like walking through the lab, and he has like a Charmander with the little like the stripes on him and a Bulbasaur and all that stuff. And then you get to like a little tiny baby Mewtwo, and the baby Mewtwo is able to read like the professor's mind and like connect with his daughter's spirit. So Mewtwo's trying to figure out like what's going on as like, so he's in his like psychic mind and traveling through a town and hanging out with the professor's daughter and hanging out with the other like shadow Pokemon and all that stuff. And then it gets to a point where like they all just start disappearing because like they're dying in real life. And Mewtwo is just sitting there like not understanding what's going on because he's like this tiny created child. And I guess they just cut out like that whole thing. But you know, like that, like if that's true, I wish they would have left that in the movie because that just makes the ending seem like so much more thing. And like the big thing was in that like flashback, the professor was talking about how he's researching Pokemon tears because he thinks that Pokemon tears have the ability to like restore life and everything like that. So you have that whole scene where Ash dies at the end and all of the Pokemon start crying and their tears are getting like sucked in and they bring him back to life. So it's like, you know, like why didn't you leave that in the movie if that actually exists?
God, that would have been amazing.
That would have been amazing.
That would have been incredible.
Right? So I don't know. I'm gonna have to look online and see if like they've actually released like what they cut.
Yeah, because that's the first I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, from what I've seen online, like it seems like there's actual clips of it. So I don't know if they released like a special edition or something like that and just fully animated the deleted scene, or if it was in like a later episode I missed or something. I don't know. They made a second Mewtwo movie too.
It's not. Is it Mewtwo Strikes Back?
I think it Strikes Back.
Yes. Where
Ash like finds him again and he started like a Pokemon sanctuary island with all of his like tube Pokemon.
Yeah, because it was weird because like they came out with that, but then Mewtwo also like wiped everyone's mind at the end of the first one. It was crazy. But while we're on the topic of that,
yes,
do you remember the moment your mind got blown because you saw Donphan roll up in the Pokemon movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Something else that I don't know why they never fixed it was, so that fight, they did a repeat sequence where I I don't remember who it was, but they like threw a Pokeball, and I think it was Squirtle. Like Ash threw Squirtle out, and he like popped up, and he's like Squirtle, and then it went back, and like literally Ash threw the Pokeball, and then Squirtle appeared again. Like for some reason in the movie they just doubled up that scene, and I don't know if they needed like 2 seconds to fill.
Probably.
Can we also talk about how adorable Dragonite is in
Oh
there
my god,
as the mailman?
I still have one of the like Pokemon movie like thumbnailed card or not watermarked cards of just like Postal Service Dragonite going in.
Hell yeah.
That will be a tattoo on my leg at some point in time.
It better be.
But I can't wait.
It better be. It also goes to show how strong Jesse and James are, because they're able to stop
with a frying
like
pan.
a Mach Force flying Dragonite with a frying pan. Like, oh my god.
Oh my god. What was the island called they were invited to?
Probably like Mewtwo Island or something.
Was it New Island?
New Island?
Yeah.
That sounds right.
I'm trying to like picture like the Nurse Joy. Sorry, not Nurse Joy. Spoiler alert for a 20-year-old movie that every child has seen.
Yeah, that movie also had the best joke in it that went over my head for the longest time.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about.
It's when Team Rocket dresses up as the Vikings and they're rowing and they're like, stroke. And then Jesse's like, I think I'm about to have one. I was like, as a kid, I'm like, I don't understand.
Oh,
this at
that's
all.
not the one I was talking about.
Oh, what were you talking about?
When Ash is like, I thought there were only Vikings in Minnesota. Just talking about the football team.
Yeah, the football team.
God, they took so many liberties with that. But I think the dub is like the 4Kids dub of Pokemon is the only good thing to come out of 4Kids. Like they had One Piece. It was garbage. Did 4Kids have Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yes.
That's going to be another episode.
Yeah, because I think anything with like a banging opening, 4Kids did.
Yeah.
And Yu-Gi-Oh had the your move, your move,
Oh, plus also, once again, voice of Setakaiba, also
Right.
James. So
right.
it would go
Obviously,
to the thing. But so we talked about the first movie.
Yeah.
First movie came out a good bit into a lot of the show.
I don't even know like where Ash was in his journey.
We didn't have we did have Brock for the first movie, right?
Yeah,
and
Brock
the
and Misty
second
were there.
movie was
It was Tracy.
Yeah.
So Ash's team in the first movie, he still had Pidgeotto.
Yes.
Then he had Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Pikachu, Charmander. And what was his sixth?
I don't think he had a sixth because he didn't have.
He definitely had a sixth, because remember when he tried to catch Krabby, it got transferred to Oak's office.
It wasn't Tauros, was it?
No, it wasn't Tauros. Oh, what was his sixth
This is gonna bother
Pokemon?
me.
I don't know. And then Misty had her Goldeen, Psyduck,
Staryu,
Starmie, and Brock had Geodude, Onix, and he started to have non-rock Pokemon. What was his non-rock at the time? He had a Zubat.
Yeah. He didn't have many. I'm pretty sure it was just those two and Zubat.
Could have been those three. Oh, there's another band episode we didn't talk about. The Santa Claus episode with Jinx in it.
We're just gonna let everyone Google that for yourself. If you know the Mr. Popo controversy, you can probably understand where this is going.
Where Jinx came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a good one. But I mean the rest of the episode, without the controversy, it's kind of crazy. You know, Ash gets stuck. He gets separated from, I think, Misty and Brock because of like an avalanche.
And I think he
or
ends up
something like
with
that.
James.
It's
'Cause
something crazy.
I think Team Rocket also gets split up, so it's like
Doesn't he just end up with their Pokemon? Like Team Rocket's Pokemon, so they're with them, and he takes care of them.
Maybe I just remember. I don't know if it's the same episode. I remember an episode where Ash goes into like a cave, and he's like huddling with all of his Pokemon and stuff like that. They're all trying to keep each other warm. I don't know if it's that episode or if it's another one, but I don't know what other. I know that there's other like great episoes out there. Like I know just meeting like what's his name, Richie, with who has the
cooler Ash.
He's the cooler Ash. He has a Charmander named like Zippo or something like that.
Yep.
And he has
the Pikachu with the little like the messy
cowlick
hair
on it.
Yeah, Sparky.
Sparky.
Yeah.
And he had the cool lightning bolt on the Pokeball, so he knew who it was. He was just an overall
he had
like
a
better
Butterfree
trainer
too, right?
I think
like
so.
it was just like Ash, but like competent.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But Happy. Wasn't Happy the Butterfree?
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
Happy the Butterfree.
Oh god, that episode though was crazy because like
Oh.
I remember like my heart racing because like at the beginning of that episode, you know, of course Team Rocket does what Team Rocket do. Like
Yeah.
they kidnap Pikachu at the last hour. Ash is late for his match with Richie, but Richie's like, no, I know he's gonna be here. Like hold off, and just like you don't think he's gonna make it. Then Ash comes in on like the ripped apart Meowth balloon. Like he jumps in, like half his Pokemon already injured. He's like, I'm here, I'm gonna fight, and it's just like, oh my god.
This is
Ash
happening.
can do it. And then if you're a Pokemon fan, you're just like, I have no faith in Ash winning ever because
Yeah.
like this boy gets to the finals with everything except for one.
Well, here's the thing, which made this crazy because the episode right before this, Ash beats Gary,
Yeah.
which was like huge.
It was big.
because like Gary
this
is just
could
like
go
30
all the
steps
way.
ahead of him, like
Yeah.
in everything. And Gary has like a powerhouse team, and Ash is just like, nah, I got my boys, you know. And it's, but you know, I do gotta say though, one thing I'm mad about is people saying Ash has never won a tournament before because he won Orange
won
Islands.
Orange Islands.
He
Like
beat Lance,
Yeah.
and all of his Gyarados because Squirtle learned Hydro Pump, which is fucking dope because he got the thing where like he would hide in a shell and then the pump would come out of every like all of his like arms and legs and every hole or whatever, and he just spun in a circle
Yep.
like a fucking Beyblade. And then Ash got control of Charizard,
Yep.
which was a huge thing.
Was it Terrific Valley?
Yeah,
After the training?
Terrific Valley. Yep. And then, but the final thing was Dragonite versus Pikachu. And Pikachu is just holding on the Dragonite's like antenna horns, and Dragonite's flying up into the air as high as he can, and it's just like thunderbolt after thunderbolt after thunderbolt.
It was
and then you just see him like crashing down to the ground, and Pikachu gets up, and you're like,
Oh
"What?
my god.
Like what? Like
Yep.
shivers, man!" And like that battle took place on like a archipelago or whatever it's called, the big jutting rock out of
Yep.
like the middle of the ocean. Ash's team in that was dope too.
Yeah. Like
'Cause-
that was like for me like peak Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like it was just great. Like it was different because like if you played the games, like there were no Orange Islands. There
No.
were no like their gym badges were little like seashells and shit.
Yeah,
like
and there
they
was
had
only 4
different
of 'em.
rules. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
just the battles. Like no, you have to. Wasn't there like a snow one or like a surfing one? You had to like ride down something to get the badge. But it was just different circumstances.
There was, I know there was a race too because Ash used the Lapras, and then Lapras was like gonna lose, so he ice beamed and he jumped on
Yeah.
the ice slide, and
and
like,
you're just like
Yeah.
you going. Oh, my god.
it was dope.
It was incredible.
And like baby Lapras, like adorable,
yeah.
right? And then that was the whole thing. Well, that was the season where we lost Brock though,
Yeah.
because
he was horny on Maine and wanted to go after what was her
whatever
name?
that professor was, I can't remember her name.
Oh my god.
But yeah, he stayed behind with her, and then like an episode later, we met Tracy, and he was the Pokemon artist, right? Like he sketched Pokemon,
Yeah,
like, and he had the old man Scyther,
Yep.
like the what do you call him? Like the old samurais. What are they called?
Like the Shoguns. Or something like
Shogun,
that.
yeah, like Shogun Scyther,
Yeah.
who like his fighting style was based off of like actual like swordsmanship, which was like dope.
That was one of the first times we saw like outside of like the Pokemon movie, with like Meryl and Donphan, like he was the first one to like officially have like a Meryl and like Gen 2
Right,
Pokemon, right?
right.
Yeah. That was so cool.
Because Togepi was the first Gen 2 Pokemon we saw, right?
Outside of Ho-Oh, yeah.
Outside of Ho-Oh,
Yeah,
right? Because they like found a random egg, and I think they like had a whole episode where they fought over the egg to see who would keep
Yeah.
it. And then finally, I think Togepi hatched and like chose Misty
Yeah.
or something like that.
So
So
I think they were just like they had like a competition between like Jesse and James and Misty, like who's gonna like be the parent. It was wild.
yeah, because they all had a Pokeball or a Pokemon battle, and Ash won, and he was like, "Oh yeah, this thing's mine.
Yep.
You know, I get it," and all that. And then I think it hatched, and Misty was the first thing it saw.
Yeah.
So it was like, "Nope, you're my mom now," which is pretty dope because I believe that Togepi eventually evolved into a Togetic.
Yeah.
In one of the later episodes because Misty goes back and becomes the Cerulean gym leader again. Like she takes it up when she finally leaves in like season 3 or 4 or something like that.
Yeah,
Whenever May comes in,
Yeah.
Misty leaves, and I think Brock comes No, it's Ash, May, and her
brother.
younger brother.
Yeah.
Walter.
Max.
Yeah.
Close. You were very
I
close.
was really close. Well, you see a W and an M are the same thing.
It's true. It's like
Yeah.
Wario Mario. You got it.
Yeah.
You're onto something.
So Maxter, you know.
Waxter.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. Who is your favorite of companions? Is it Misty and Brock, or is it
I like Casey,
Casey? Which one's Casey?
the sketch guy.
Tracy.
Tracy, not Casey.
Tracy.
Maybe I don't like Casey.
Maybe you
the
don't like
most.
him.
I liked him. I think I didn't like Snap. I remember not liking him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was just the tie-in.
He was just
from
like a
Pokemon
random
Snap.
guy that
Yeah.
appeared, though. You know who I freaking love, though, just because he's so like chaos off the wall, is Go in like the Pokemon
He
Germany's
is.
the new season,
It's just a meme.
because his like he is Pokemon Go the game. He doesn't fight Pokemon. He just comes
he
in.
just-
He's like, oh, what is that? And then hucks a Pokeball.
Yep.
Like
Like this
he's
boy met
never earned a
Mewtwo and
Pokemon.
was like, "I'm gonna catch him right off
yeah,
the bat."
just smacks him in the
Yep.
head with the Pokeball. Oh my god.
Like I will say, like Pokemon hasn't been as great to me like as a kid, but you know, like, watching it on Netflix was honestly kind of great because it's nice to see Ash be like a competent Pokemon trainer. Like,
Yeah.
he's using strategy, like he's using a decent like team.
decent
like
team.
there's typing. He evolves his Pokemon. What is happening?
Yeah, his team in this final thing is he has a Dragonite, he has a Gengar, he has stupid fish. I don't know its name.
Stonefizz.
No, that weird fossil fish where it's like a
Oh,
dinosaur on the
Dracofish?
bottom and
Yeah,
a fish
I
on its
love
head.
it so much.
Dude, the thing is the most hilarious
It's
Pokemon in the
amazing.
world.
Powerhouse.
Powerhouse. Oh, what are his last two? Oh, God. Isn't he using his mom's Mr. Mime?
Didn't it like evolve into Mr. Rhyme?
It might have. I don't know.
Which another reason why I hate Mr. Mime and Sirfetch'd.
Sirfetch'd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
I hate how they made Sirfetch'd such a main character.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of like, at the end of the day, you're still just like weak.
Yeah.
Like Sirfetch'd is not strong.
No.
And like, I don't know. I still think his like, probably one of the coolest Pokemon he's ever had was his Greninja.
Yeah.
The one that he did like that weird spirit fusion thing with.
It was wild.
Like, I don't know what that was about because I didn't watch that season, but like Greninja was dope. And his Sceptile was dope.
Yes.
He like always would pick up that blade of grass and put it in his mouth.
Oh my god.
Because like every season he had that one starter Pokemon that evolved all the way through.
That's what I always hated. Like I knew it was pushing the games, but it always made me so mad where Ash like wouldn't bring his best Pokemon over. But like I'm still heated over this, and we may have to do another episode just to get into like more of these frustrating parts about Ash. But I think was it season 3 where his Pikachu at this point had like beaten the Orange Islands, almost beaten the Elite Four previously, and it loses to like the equivalent of like a level 5 Torchic or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, come
Really?
again? What is
Yeah.
this? I think it was a
He gets challenged by like a newcomer trainer.
it was the Gen 4 season, wasn't it? The monkey. I
Oh,
can't remember.
the Infernape.
Chimchar.
Yeah.
He just loses. Like Pikachu's at this point probably like level 100, max stats, everything like that. Loses to a Chimchar.
Yeah.
Like what are you
It's
doing?
like how is something that just took down like a Dragonite losing to a level 5 Chimchar?
And then
That's
like for some reason, okay, here's this electric Pokemon. I'm gonna use Iron Tail on everything for the next 10 years.
oh, don't forget Electro Ball.
Electro Ball.
Electro Ball was
Volt
huge.
Tackle was dope though.
And Volt Tackle. Yeah. Yeah.
But
It was something.
yeah. Well, we could gush over this all day. I think
we got
there's
25 years of gushing.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna say gush however many more times we need to.
Gush. Well, anyway, with that, we'll sign off. We'll see you next time, Gush.
If you enjoyed that episode, make sure to join us here every Thursday on YouTube and Spotify as we drop new episodes of that good shit.
And don't forget to give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok for some solid filler content to get you through the week at Not Mike, Not Pat. You should be watching.